Welcome to Michaels Mailbox. Hi everyone, it's Ruben and
Michael
from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au, your best place to buy bullion bars and coins, shipped to you worldwide from Melbourne in Australia.
That was beautifully done, mate.
It was something. I don't know.
You were channeling Joe, I'm sure.
I love this. We just created an off-the-cuff theme once, and now we've stuck with it. It's going to carry with us for years to come. What are we doing?
We're doing Michael's Mailbox. We haven't done one for quite a while, so we've actually pulled out a few questions on this one, and we're going to go through them and just have a bit of a yarn about it. Hopefully I won't gasbag too much, and we'll answer some of your questions. Some of the questions that are more longer answers, so it saves us typing for half an hour to give you a response, or questions that are repeated several times in different forms, so we're not just cutting and pasting straight across. So go through about half a dozen to a dozen different questions that you've sent in at various times.
Good stuff. All right, so we'll pick a video that these comments are on, and we'll go through them all and see what you lovely people are saying about us.
All right, so this one's from the donuts video where we had the CPG silver donuts and the gold tails. So this is from Melbourne Stacker. Hi guys, just a question about the purity on the silver donut. The pictures of the donut stamped 9995. Description on your website says they're 99.99. Just wondering which one it is. It's actually both.
You're going to have to elaborate on that.
Yeah. So look, the refinery stamps them 395. And really, there's a couple of reasons for it. One is that it's an easy stamp for them. They've already got the stamp there. They don't have to get a new one made. But it's also because it covers them. It's kind of like when you buy a kilo of potatoes, you know that they're actually a bit over a kilo. This way, they know that, no matter what, they are covered by it. But we run them under the XRF. The granules that they use are all 49s silver. There's no impurities in it, so they are actually 99.99, even though they're stamped 99.95.
And we see that with like the Perth Mint kilos or whatever as well. They're stamped 39, so 99.95. But yeah, they all test through it at 49s as well.
It's very common for refineries to do it. So yeah, that's what that one's about. The next one, I'm actually not sure. They haven't given me where this one's actually come from, but this is from Utah Get Me Too. What do you guys buy US Silver Eagles back at? If we are paying premiums, do we recoup any if selling? I'm trying to understand why they are so expensive. It's a couple of questions actually contained, or a couple of answers contained in these questions. So we buy everything back at spot, subject to the couple of provisos. So in gold, if the bar is above 100 grams in size, then we don't pay spot for it. Or if you've got more than 50 ounces of gold in one hit. And in the silver, if the bar is greater than, or coin, is greater than 100 ounces, which is a bit over 3 kilos, or if you've got more than 100 kilos worth, then we don't do spot. But up to those numbers, we absolutely pay spot for them, even for the Eagle. Now, the Eagle is one of the ones that I really struggle with, and I've said this on camera a couple of times. When you sell them back to us, you do lose the premium, which is why a lot of people say, I want to buy the cheapest stuff that you've got, because I know that when I sell it back to you, no matter what's stamped on the front, if I've paid an extra $200 in premium for it, I'm only going to get spot when I sell it back to you, so give me the cheapest stuff possible. And there's a lot to that argument. Some people will pay the extra premiums because they're looking at trading them in overseas or taking them overseas, or it's the sleep at night factor. I know who the Perth Mint is, and even if I don't, within 10 minutes on Google I can find out that they're government backed, they're this, they're that and the other. They're LBMA registered, so they come with a certain standard, a certain criteria, whereas locally produced or old brands that I've never heard of, those types of things, no one knows what they are. And maybe I'm taking a bit more of a risk, so why bother for a product that's only a couple of bucks cheaper? So there's those two arguments play back and forth, and only you can really answer that one. I'm trying to understand why they are so expensive. The reason they're so expensive in Australia is because we have to buy them out of the States and import them over here. The Americans don't like letting go of them, so the wholesale premiums that they charge us are quite steep. And then we have to get them into the country, which costs us quite a lot. So I've said before, I think unless you specifically want an Eagle, I think in Australia the Eagle is expensive. If we were having this conversation and we were in the States, that's a completely different argument, because the eagle is the equivalent of a Perth mint kangaroo in Australia. They're cheap and cheerful. They're produced by the gazillion. There's no real collector's premium to them over time. Yeah, sure, people like having last year's and the year before's and the year before's to complete their set, but there's no huge premium reserved for earlier models, with the exception of potentially last year's, so 2021's, because we had both the Type 1 and the Type 2 out. We are yet to see if that will create some form of collector's premium in them as of yet. But generally, they incur a massive premium purely because of the expense of getting them into the country. So to give people an idea, where you're paying around about that $39 to $40 mark Australian for a kangaroo, for an eagle we're paying around about the $50 mark in Australia. So it's still 1 ounce of silver. When you sell them back to a bullion dealer, you're still going to get the same amount for them. So the obvious question is, why pay more? And I have to agree with that.
It's a good point you touched on there. I actually spoke about this with a customer in store not too long ago, where a lot of the YouTubers and things that they'd seen and listened to were saying, hey, look, go American Eagles, go American Eagles. And, that's great. Like you said, in the States where they are that, more locally sourced coin, it's fantastic. But yeah, once you start bringing in the international element to it, you have to translate it a little bit for where you are. If you're in another country around the world, it won't be the kangaroo, it may be, a different coin.
Yeah, so if in Canada we'd be talking about the maple, in the UK we'd be talking about the Britannia, because it's the local bullion product. Yeah, exactly right, Rubes. Happy to move on with it?
Let's move on.
Alrighty. Just in time. Hi there, nice coin. A little bit off topic. I've got to stop taking notes. I've got to actually put which video this was related to. Do you have any information yet on the 22 version of the Perth Mint Black Flag coin in silver, if it'll be available? I have no information on that one at all.
I believe, though, because I believe an email rolled through about these that Matt replied to a little while ago, and from memory, I think they were a private mintage. So there's a really cool series they've done. So it's not the first one in the series, but yeah, nothing that we're able to get at the moment.
Yeah, okay. All right, Raymond Stafferton, can you put the unallocated platinum back up on the site, please? I'm not sure why this one was pulled in, but look, the unallocated, we don't list humongous amounts of unallocated on the web, purely because we're covering our own backside. At the end of the day, if there's a sudden price movement and we don't recognise it at the time, then we can get caught out, and we don't want to do that on either side of the equation.
And we have to be able to back it.
That's exactly right. We have to know that we can back it. So we limit the amount that we list on the web. If it's ever not there, and obviously during business hours, just give us a ring, 1300 84 84 10, and we can either put it back up so you can buy it, or assuming we can back it, and we always check first if we can back it, but assuming that that's all kosher, we can put it straight back up on the web, or we can even take the order over the phone. That's fine. If it's outside business hours, flick us an email and we'll get it organised as quickly as we can. So yeah, absolutely, we can get it relisted on the web. Utah, get me too again. Can you guys get the Wall Street Bets 1 ounce silver coins in? Possibly. I actually don't know who's producing those ones yet. I think it was Sunshine Mint, but I can't swear to that. So yeah, look, we'll poke around. We'll see if we can find some.
Do some chasing.
Yeah, that might be an interesting one. Durac Flux. I don't know how to pronounce that one. What's the point of coins like this? So this is referring to one of the numismatic ones. I have a feeling this was the rotating tiger. What's the point of coins like this if they're worth less than spot with buybacks? They aren't actually worth less than spot. They would be worth spot, the same as any other buyback to us. These are the types of coins that you don't that you don't purchase if your sole intent is to stack silver or gold and to sell them back to a bullion dealer at the end of the day, because you're just not going to get the return for them. Or it would be incredibly rare that you got the return for them. And I say this about a lot of coins, and I am shooting myself in the foot here by saying bullion dealers are the last place I would sell your coins, or I would plan on selling your coins. You know that you can always take them to them and they'll absolutely give you spot for them, or whatever their policy is. A lot of bullion dealers are actually less than spot. But I would suggest that you are selling your coins, particularly something like the rotating tiger. You look for other avenues. So whether it be the online forums, whether it be collector clubs, whether it be even coin dealers to a degree, although, you know, the bullion side coins, they're not likely to give you even as much as a bullion dealer. But the more numismatic ones, you may find they give you more. But those types of places where you can actually sell them into the secondary market yourself, because that's where you're going to get the premium for them, and that's where you'll start to see the increase. I don't know about the rotating tiger because I haven't actually looked, and they've only just been released. They've only just been released. But things like the opal tiger that was released fairly recently, you know, if you sold back the opal tiger to me as a bullion dealer, you'd get spot for it, even though you paid, correct me here, Ruben, about 120, 125?
Ballpark, yeah.
About that for it. But within almost moments, they were selling up on eBay at over $300. So my suggestion would be, if you've got an opal tiger and you've spent the 120 or 130, whatever it was, on the premium, you don't sell it back to me as a bullion dealer. You go and sell it on eBay. You go sell it on one of the numismatic or coin collector forums. Even somewhere, a site like silverstackers.com, which is mostly a stacking community, but they do actually, some of the guys on there or some of the people on there will actually buy the numismatic coins at a higher price. And you'd still get your $250, $300 for the coin in those sort of circumstances.
Couldn't tell you what spot price on opal is, though.
Yeah, well, that's right. You find your bullion dealer just ignores the opal component. But, yeah, you know, those are collector coins. They're not designed for that. It's like if you had a Ferrari, if you had an old Model T Ford, if you had help me here, Ruben, you know, if you had a precious stamp, if you had a piece of artwork, you wouldn't take it to, you know, in the car example, you wouldn't take it to your local car dealer and try and trade it in on your new, you know, Commodore or on your, you know, those sorts of things. You'd sell it into the specialist market. The stuff you're buying here is specialist coins. Don't sell it into the used car market. Sell it into the into where you'd expect to sell it into the specialist market.
Particularly once they're no longer available at some of those new dealers. So, you know, once the, you know, the couple of years have passed or whatever, and you can't go into a, you know, into a physical store or even online, you have to look at that secondhand market. And so if someone's coming along late to a series, we're seeing that a little bit with Series 3 at the moment, even in just the bullion side of things for the Lunar stuff, where people are coming into it in, you know, the third year of it saying, well, hey, I've just picked up the Tiger. There's only 2 coins beforehand, so I'm gonna start a series. So that they come through and want to pick up those other coins, and places like us don't have them anymore. They've sold out, and so you have to chase that secondhand market. And so people saying, well, you know, how do I sell them? Like, why would people be after those coins for higher than spot? It's because they want to finish off the collection.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, I mean, I think we were talking about this morning. The mouse and the ox. So in the 1 ounce at the moment, the Tiger's worth approximately $42 Australian rubes.
We're ballparking.
Yeah, so $42, $43. So that's what you'd expect the mouse to be worth. That's what you'd expect 1 ounce of silver to be worth. But if you go and you have a look on their eBay or any of the specialist shops, you're actually paying somewhere around about that $60 for the mouse and the ox, because it's built the collector's premium. So again, even though you've paid that little bit more for it when you've purchased it, I wouldn't be selling it back as a 1 ounce silver bar to a dealer. I'd be taking that 1 ounce mouse and I'd be trying to sell it into the collector's market.
Exactly.
$60 instead of spot, or at best, you know, 43, you know, for this year's Tiger. I hope that answers the question. If not, feel free to, you know, re-ask it down below, and we can discuss it again. It's a subject that comes up semi-frequently, because it's actually a really good question, that one. Alrighty, I think this is the last one. I'm not even going to attempt to to say this guy's name. My apologies. Sorry, that's the internal phone system going off. So, question from South Korea for Michaels Mailbox. Do you consider Libertads, so brilliant uncirculated proof, reverse proof, to be a good investment compared to buying generic rounds or sovereign bullion? Is one better than the other?
This ties in a little bit with our previous comments, considering both the American Eagle and the comments on the Tiger, where they're quite difficult to get in this country at the moment. as someone who's always trying, I'm sure you can sit here and attest to that.
Look, the Libertads are hard to get wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you are. The proof, the reverse proof, they're obviously collector coins, so absolutely they would be something that you wouldn't sell back to a bullion dealer. Are they a good investment? I'm going to say tentatively yes. They are an okay investment. They're not going to shoot the lights out, but they're not bad. The standard BU, so the Bullion 1 or Bullion Uncirculated, in years gone by, I would have said, it's not bad. It's a bit pricey in this country, but it's not bad. Like if you're buying it in Australia. If you're buying it in Mexico, it's a different story altogether. But I would say the Libertads are getting more and more of a following, so we're actually seeing the premiums really start to drive up. And then obviously last year, and it looks like this year as well, the premiums are moving through the roof because you can't buy them. They're just not freely available anywhere. So I would actually say they are quite a good investment. I would be very careful about paying over the odds for them. But I would say you're not going to do wrong with a Libertad.
I think for me personally, it comes down to their future availability as well. So if in the coming years they start producing larger amounts, and those people that are chasing them now can just start buying those ones in larger amounts, there may be less of a market for the ones that right now are quite collectible. And we can go back and forth on this because that's it. There may be specific years that then become quite collectible.
And that's exactly what I think will happen, because I think you're right. I think the Mexican Mint is going to go, you little ripper. These things are flying out like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Let's crank up the production and not limit it to, as many as we have in previous years. So I think if they actually do that, like, 23, 24, 25, they actually really start ramping it up, I think it'll make the 22s, 21s, 20s, 19s, 18s that much more valuable, because they will become those collector's items. People will chase them because I've got my 2024 one, now I want the previous years.
And that's the internal debate you've got to have when figuring out if ones like this are likely to go off. Yeah,
look, there's no guaranteed formula on these things. You can put the odds in your favour. Popular productions, the Libertads are popular. The Kookaburras, the Koalas are popular. The Lunas are popular. The Queen's Beasts are popular. These sorts of things, they're popular worldwide and people chase them. So, you can kind of put things in your favour, but it's never a guarantee. You can certainly put things not in your favour. The kangaroo, the Australian kangaroo, I don't think will ever become a collector's item because it's such a mass-produced bullion coin.
But in that, it has its own advantages, which we also a little bit covered as well.
So. It's cheap and cheerful. I would have said until recently the koala was a bit... But that's because it has been... This is the perverse thing about collecting things. The things that are unpopular historically, there always seems to come a point where, wow, I've got all the kookaburras and I've got all the lunas. I think I'll go and collect the koalas. What do you mean there's none available? No one's got them. Well, they weren't popular. No one wanted them. Well, I want them. So now all of a sudden everybody wants the koala, and because they weren't popular, they're hen's teeth to get hold of and the price goes through the roof. And that's actually what it hasn't happened yet, but it's what we're starting to see. Greater interest in the koala coin, and the previous year's premiums are really starting to move up now. Does that answer the question?
Hopefully. Well, once again, they can let us know down below. And I'll quickly plug just to let people know that, if you have any other questions that you wanted us to answer for future mailboxes, or even on any of the other videos that, we put out throughout the week, feel free to drop them down. Ideally, if you can say for Michael's Mailbox, just so we know. But we'll try and get to them in future episodes.
Put them in below. That'll be the obvious one if you put them in below. But we still skim read. We don't skim read. We read all the other comments, I've got to say. But we certainly pull some of the other comments from other videos as well, and we slide them in and discuss them here. So if there's a specific one that's burning a hole in the side of your brain, put it down below here and we'll try and cover it next week.
Or surprise us with it on live stream.
On live stream. Yeah, you can. If you want a discussion on live stream about it, flick it off to live, LIVE, at bullionnow.com.au. And every week we try and go through as many as, we usually get through all of them, but certainly as many as those emails as we possibly can.
Good stuff. All right. Well, unless you have any more there, I think that draws the Michael's Mailbox this week to a close.
That's it from me.
And also from me.
All right. See ya.
See ya.